Beloved beings of light, today we are going to explore a path that can transform the way you see and face life's challenges. The Stoic lessons we will discuss have the power to calm the mind, bring emotional balance, and offer clarity even in the most turbulent storms. By understanding and applying these principles, you will be able to navigate adversities with wisdom and serenity, cultivating a lighter and more fulfilling existence. Here on our channel, where we talk about spirituality and emotional healing, the lessons of Stoicism deeply connect with our quest for inner peace and self-transformation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Stoic wisdom, stated that power lies in our minds, not in external events. This perspective shows us that understanding this principle gives us the strength to navigate a world where emotions often resemble turbulent waves. The central question then is, how can we find an anchor amid these emotional storms? To answer this, Stoic lessons offer us a compass, and the first of these is the fundamental concept of the dichotomy of control. The dichotomy of control teaches that there are things we can control and things that are completely beyond our reach. It seems simple, but this idea has the power to transform our relationship with the world. Imagine a common situation. You planned an outdoor event, but on the day of the event, it starts to rain. The weather is beyond your control, but your reaction is entirely in your hands. You can choose to get frustrated and complain or adapt to the new situation, perhaps even seeing the rain as something refreshing and unexpected. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized that this clear distinction between what we control and what we do not control is the foundation for living well. He stated that our peace and well-being do not depend on external events, but on how we interpret and react to them. This means that, even in the face of situations that seem adverse, we can maintain our internal balance. For example, if you do not get the job of your dreams, you may initially feel defeated, but over time, that rejection could open doors to something even better or even lead to unexpected personal growth. To apply this Stoic lesson in your life, start with a simple question: can I control this? If the answer is yes, take the necessary steps. If the answer is no, take the opportunity to practice acceptance and adaptability. This practice frees us from the burden of unnecessary anxieties, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. It is like adjusting the sails of a boat. You may not control the winds, but you can redirect your journey. With the dichotomy of control as a foundation, you learn to navigate the chaos of life with greater clarity and calm, understanding that strength lies not in fighting against what cannot be changed, but in accepting and redirecting your energy toward what is within your reach. This is the anchor that the Stoics offer us to face everyday challenges. In today's world, where we are constantly bombarded by stimuli, the ability to pause, breathe, and reflect before reacting is almost a forgotten art. This brings us to the second Stoic lesson: the importance of reflecting before reacting. In the heat of the moment, when we are provoked or face challenges, the instinctive reaction is usually driven by emotions. But the Stoics teach us that by taking a step back, we can act more consciously and in alignment with our values. Moreover, even when it is not in the heat of the moment, thinking before speaking is a valuable strategy. Ask yourself, will this person receive what I am saying well? Do they have the maturity to understand it? Am I being careful with my words in this way? Think of a common situation. You receive an unexpected message from a colleague criticizing your work, or a comment from a friend that seems offensive. The immediate reaction might be anger, defensiveness, or even hurt. However, what if instead of responding in the heat of emotion, you simply paused to reflect? This pause allows you to ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? Is this reaction influenced by something beyond the present moment, such as past experiences or deep-seated beliefs I carry with me. Reflecting helps us identify the true origin of our emotions, offering us the chance to act with more clarity and wisdom. Doing this is of extreme wisdom, and few practice it. It allows us to circumvent the barriers of the ego, separating what belongs to us from what belongs to others. This practice not only improves our interpersonal relationships, but also strengthens our image before others. Those who reflect before acting are often seen as wise, thoughtful, and trustworthy people. In professional environments, this is especially valuable. A leader who practices reflection is more respected and makes decisions that stand the test of time because their choices are not impulsive but based on deep and considered thought. Reflecting before reacting is, therefore, an exercise in self-control that helps us navigate the turbulent emotions of life. While reflection teaches us to slow down and act with more awareness, the third Stoic lesson invites us to practice detachment. The third Stoic lesson teaches us to cultivate detachment, which is slightly different from the detachment found in Buddhism. In Stoicism, detachment is deeply connected to the dichotomy of control. It is about recognizing that we have no control over external events, only over our reactions to them. Detachment does not mean ignoring emotions, but observing them with balance without being dominated by them. It is like watching a movie. You get involved, feel the emotions, but know that it is just a temporary experience. In today's world, reacting intensely to everything can exhaust us. Detachment acts as an emotional buffer, helping us handle criticism or difficult conversations without taking anything personally. This creates space for understanding and avoids unnecessary conflicts. Furthermore, it helps us navigate the uncertainties of life, allowing us to live in the present without the constant fear of loss or failure. Practicing detachment requires self-awareness and the ability to identify emotional triggers. The fourth Stoic lesson connects directly to this practice of detachment, bringing a simple but powerful exercise. Ask yourself if this will still matter 5 years from now. In the heat of the moment, many problems seem overwhelming, but with the distance of time, they prove insignificant. This perspective helps us distinguish what truly matters in life. Consider an example. A heated argument with a friend or a professional setback may seem huge now, but 5 years from now, will you even remember it? This question works as a mental time machine, allowing you to distance yourself emotionally from the present moment and see it under a broader light. In addition to relieving unnecessary anxieties, it teaches us to focus on actions that have a lasting impact. This exercise also challenges us to reflect on past worries. Think of something that seemed like a big problem 5 years ago. How do you feel about it today? Often, we will realize that these concerns were replaced by new challenges, and that, in the grand scheme of life, they have completely lost relevance. Asking yourself whether something will matter in the future is not about minimizing genuine challenges, but about redirecting our energy toward what truly makes a difference. It is a practice that promotes resilience, clarity, and a deeper sense of priorities. By applying it, we learn to let go of small annoyances and dedicate our attention to what really matters: our relationships, our personal growth, and the experiences that build the narrative of our lives. With detachment and the perspective of time as allies, we move on to the fifth Stoic lesson, which invites us to reflect in an even more structured way through the practice of journaling. The fifth Stoic lesson presents us with a transformative practice: keeping a journal. For the Stoics, writing was more than just recording the day's events. It was a tool for self-knowledge, introspection, and personal growth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest representatives of Stoicism, kept a journal that we know today as Meditations. His writings were not intended for the public, but served as a dialogue with himself, a way to organize his thoughts, process emotions, and reaffirm his principles. And this practice, which has crossed centuries, remains extremely relevant. The Stoic journal does not need to be complicated. It can be a space for you to reflect on the day that has passed. What happened, how you reacted, what emotions surfaced, and how they connect to your values and beliefs. Imagine, for example, that something small made you lose your temper. Perhaps a comment made by a colleague or an unexpected setback. By writing about it, you may discover hidden emotional triggers or patterns that influence your behavior. This type of insight is powerful because it allows us to identify areas for improvement and act in a way that aligns more closely with our goals. In addition to promoting mental clarity, a journal helps create a sense of responsibility. When we commit to reflecting daily, it becomes harder to ignore our own mistakes or repeat impulsive decisions. Instead, we are invited to learn from our failures and seek more conscious solutions. Over time, this practice becomes a sort of internal compass, guiding our actions more intentionally and in alignment with our Stoic values. The sixth Stoic lesson takes us a step further, transforming obstacles into opportunities. For the Stoics, challenges were not mere inconveniences, but chances for growth and learning. Imagine a river encountering a rock in its path. Instead of stopping, it flows around it, shaping new directions or even wearing the rock down over time. We can deal with the obstacles in our lives in the same way, not as insurmountable barriers, but as forces that propel us forward and help us evolve. This perspective is especially useful in times of adversity. Losing a job, for example, may seem devastating at the moment, but it can also be an opportunity to explore new paths, acquire new skills, or even start your own venture. And here, spirituality comes into play. Sometimes it does not give us what we want, but what we need. This Stoic mindset does not mean ignoring the genuine difficulty of challenges, but recognizing that each one brings with it a seed of potential. As Stoic philosophy says, it is not the events themselves that define us, but how we choose to interpret and respond to them. This shift in perspective can transform temporary setbacks into catalysts for lasting growth. Finally, we come to the seventh Stoic lesson, the practice of gratitude. In a world that constantly encourages us to desire more, gratitude invites us to look at what we already have and recognize its beauty and value. The Stoics believed that true happiness did not come from possessing more things, but from fully appreciating the present moment. This means valuing not only the big moments, but also the small, everyday joys. A friend's smile, a hot cup of coffee on a cold morning, or simply the fact that we are alive. Gratitude, when practiced deliberately, transforms our perspective. It helps us combat the natural tendency to focus on what is missing and redirect our attention to what we already have. To cultivate gratitude, the Stoics recommend simple practices, such as ending the day by reflecting on 3 things you are grateful for. This may seem small, but over time, this practice transforms the way we see the world, making us more present, happier, and more resilient in the face of adversity. These 7 Stoic lessons are not merely philosophical principles, but practical tools that can transform your life. By applying them, you will not only face challenges with greater calm and clarity, but also discover a sense of purpose and balance that few achieve. Stoicism reminds us that, regardless of the chaos around us, the power to live well lies within us. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Now is the time to put these ideas into practice and walk the path of Stoic wisdom. Finally, I want to thank you, awakened ones, for staying with us until now. These Stoic lessons have the power to transform lives, bringing clarity, balance, and purpose. Now it's your turn to interact. Share your opinion in the comments. Which of these lessons touched your heart the most? And remember, your journey is unique, and every step counts. Gratitude for being here, and see you in the next encounter.